If you're asked to solve a quadratic equation, there's only one of three things you're going to have to do in order to be able to solve it. Just three things. One is to factorize the expression, one is to complete the square, and the other is just to use the formula. The real question is, which one do you use when? Well, if the equation looks like that, so there's no number in front of the x squared, technically there's a 1, but either way, if it just looks like an x squared, first thing you should try to do is factorize it. So see if you can factorize it into a pair of brackets like that. Chances are it'll work. It'll be really easy, and then from that point you can solve it. If, instead, it has a number in front of the x squared, so the coefficient of x squared is bigger than 1, that's the technical language for it, then more often than not, the easiest thing to do is just use the formula. If this is on a calculator paper, just plug A, B and C into that formula, use the calculator, it'll tell you what x is. If you have to factorize it still, either because the question was actually asking you to factorize, or because you're not on a calculator paper, this is probably the most difficult thing to do out of all 5 options here. This is the one that we keep struggling with the most, but there'll be another video on that shortly. Usually, if you have to complete the square, that will come up because you've actually been asked to complete the square. Again, more often than not, if your expression won't factorize, using the formula is the way to go. But sometimes it may be that you have to complete the square. Almost every single time, if this comes up, there is not going to be a number in front of the x squared. It's just going to be 1x squared. And then you can factorize it, and from there you can rearrange and solve for x. The really important thing to look out for is this one. More often than not, rather than being asked to solve this, you'll just be given the expression and be asked to factorize it. You could be asked to solve it, but quite often it just asks you to factorize it. If it's just 2 terms, and there's a minus sign in between them, check both the terms to see if they're square numbers. 4 is a square number, x squared is definitely a square number, 25 is a square number. The second you see that, 2 squares and a minus sign between them, it's the difference of 2 squares result that you've got to use.